Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered what it would feel like to sit across from someone who has lived through an entire century, through wars, revolutions, new inventions, heartbreaks, victories, and countless ordinary days? Imagine the wisdom contained in those stories. Today, we're going to step into the shoes of those remarkable individuals who have crossed the milestone of 100 years and explore the timeless lessons they offer us about living a life that truly matters. Before we begin, if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any video. Number 1. Value relationships over possessions. Have you ever noticed how, when you look back on the happiest moments of your life, it's rarely about the things you bought, but almost always about the people you were with? Think about it. The laughter around a dinner table, the late-night conversations with friends, the comforting hug of someone who truly cares. Those memories stay, while the shine of material possessions fades. This is one of the greatest lessons we can learn from those who have lived 100 years. Value relationships over possessions. When centenarians are asked what they treasure most, their answers are strikingly consistent. They don't talk about the money they earned, the cars they drove, or the clothes they wore. Instead, they remember the bonds they built, their families, their lifelong friendships, their communities. 1101 year, old man once said, "The happiest days of my life weren't about what I owned, but who I shared them with." That kind of wisdom is a reminder that while possessions can give us comfort, only relationships give us meaning. Let me share a simple story. There was a woman who lived to be 104. She grew up during tough economic times and often had very little. When asked what she cherished most, she smiled and spoke of her weekly tea gatherings with her childhood friends. Even when they had nothing fancy to eat or drink, they had each other. And that was enough. Decades later, those afternoons were the memories she carried closest to her heart. Isn't it amazing that the things that seemed small at the time turned out to be the most valuable treasures? So, how can we, in our fast-paced, material-driven world, learn to put relationships first? It begins with small, intentional choices. First, prioritize presence over presents. Instead of thinking about what gift to buy, think about the time you can spend. A call, a visit, or even a shared meal means far more than another item that will gather dust. Second, nurture your connections by practicing active listening. When you talk to someone, put the phone down, look them in the eyes, and truly hear them. People don't always remember your words, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Third, make appreciation a daily habit. Tell the people in your life that you value them. A simple thank you, a heartfelt note, or even just acknowledging their importance can strengthen bonds in powerful ways. Ask yourself this: if today were your last day, would you regret not having bought another gadget, or would you regret not spending more time with the people you love? We all know the answer deep down. Yet, too often, the business of life distracts us from what truly matters. Centenarians remind us that when you strip everything else away, the only thing that stands the test of time is love, connection, and shared moments. The beauty of valuing relationships over possessions is that it doesn't require wealth, status, or special circumstances. It's something we can all practice, starting right now. It's about choosing to call a friend, instead of scrolling endlessly on social media, about sitting down for dinner, with family without distractions, about investing your energy where it truly counts. In the end, the question isn't how much we owned, but how deeply we loved. Relationships are the true currency of life, and every effort we put into them multiplies in meaning over the years. So let's take this lesson to heart, build memories, nurture bonds, and cherish the people who make your life worth living. Because possessions may fill shelves, but only relationships fill hearts. Number 2, keep moving forward, no matter how small the steps. Have you ever had one of those days where everything feels heavy, and even the smallest task seems overwhelming? Maybe it's finishing a project, rebuilding after a setback, or simply getting out of bed when life feels too much. We've all been there. And yet, one of the most powerful lessons we can learn from those who have lived long, resilient lives is this: keep moving forward, no matter how small the steps. The truth is, progress doesn't always look dramatic. It isn't always about giant leaps, massive victories, or overnight success. More often, it's about steady, almost invisible steps that add up over time. Think about it. Walking a mile is nothing more than a series of small steps, and that's exactly how life works. What matters is not how fast you move, but that you keep moving. Even when life knocks you down, even when the road ahead looks uncertain, the act of putting one foot in front of the other builds momentum. There's a story about a man who lost everything during a financial collapse in his midlife. Instead of giving up, he decided that every day he would take just one action, no matter how small. That brought him closer to rebuilding. Some days it was making a phone call. Other days it was sending out a single application. And sometimes it was just reading a few pages of a book to learn a new skill. Those little steps didn't feel like much in the moment, but over time, they carried him into a new career, a new life, and a sense of accomplishment he thought he'd lost forever. His story reminds us that success often comes not from speed, but from persistence. So how do we apply this lesson to our own lives? First, set tiny, achievable goals. Instead of focusing on the intimidating big picture, break it down. If you want to write a book, start with 1 page a day. If you want to get healthier, start with a 10-minute walk. These small commitments create a sense of progress that fuels motivation. Second, measure effort, not just results. There will be days when the outcome isn't what you hoped for, but if you showed up and took a step forward, that's a victory. Third, celebrate small wins. Too often we wait for the big breakthrough to feel proud, but acknowledging each small step keeps us encouraged to keep going. Ask yourself this: how many times have you quit something because you felt you weren't moving fast enough? And what if, instead of stopping, taking just one more step each day? Where would you be now? The answer is powerful, because it shows us that forward movement, however small, is always better than standing still. The beauty of this mindset is that it doesn't require perfection, only persistence. Some days you'll move faster, some days slower, and some days barely at all. But as long as you're still moving, you're still growing. And with time, those tiny steps will carry you further than you ever imagined. So let's take this lesson to heart. Keep moving forward, no matter how small the steps. Because even the smallest progress is still progress. The road to success isn't built on speed, it's built on perseverance. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize that those small, steady steps were the ones that carried you the farthest. Number 3, embrace change instead of resisting it. Have you ever noticed how uncomfortable it feels when life suddenly shifts? When routines break, plans collapse, or the world seems to move faster than you can keep up? Change can feel like standing on shaky ground, and our first instinct is often to resist it. But if there's one thing we can learn from those who have lived through a century of transformation, it's this: embracing change instead of resisting it is the key to growth, resilience, and even happiness. Change is inevitable. Technology evolves, careers shift, relationships grow and sometimes end, and our own needs transform over time. Fighting against it only drains our energy, while accepting it opens the door to possibility. Think about it: the people who thrive aren't the ones who cling desperately to how things used to be. They're the ones who adapt, learn, and allow change to shape them into something stronger. The very act of leaning into change gives us a sense of freedom, because it means we're no longer controlled by fear of the unknown. Consider the story of a woman who spent decades working in a factory. When the company closed, she was already in her late 50s. Many around her panicked, convinced it was too late to start over. But instead of resisting, she embraced the change. She enrolled in a short training program, learned new skills, and eventually launched a small catering business from her kitchen. What began as a frightening upheaval turned into a second career that brought her joy and independence. Her story is proof that change, while uncomfortable at first, often carries opportunities we would never see if we only focused on what we lost. So how can we, in our own lives, begin to embrace change rather than resist it? First, shift your perspective. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What can this teach me?" This simple change in mindset turns challenges into lessons. Second, take small steps into the unfamiliar. Have to leap blindly into every change. Start by experimenting, whether it's trying a new hobby, adjusting a routine, or learning a new skill. Small acts of openness make bigger transitions feel less overwhelming. Third, stay connected to others who are navigating change too. Conversations, support, shared experiences remind us that we're not alone and that others have successfully walked through what we're facing now. Let me ask you, how many opportunities have you missed because you held on too tightly to the way things were? And what could you gain if you opened yourself up to the possibility that change might actually be leading you somewhere better? These questions are worth considering. Change doesn't stop for anyone. It keeps moving, whether we fight it or flow with it. The beauty of embracing change is that it teaches us flexibility, courage, trust in our own ability to adapt. It reminds us that while we can't always control what happens, we can control how we respond. In that response lies our greatest strength. So the next time change knocks on your door, instead of turning away, take a breath and open it. See what new path might be waiting for you. Because life isn't meant to stay the same. It's meant to keep evolving. When we choose to embrace change instead of resisting it, we give ourselves the gift of growth, resilience, and a future brighter than we imagined. Number 4, practice gratitude every single day. Have you ever had one of those moments where you pause, look around, realize that the very things you once took for granted are actually the things that matter most? A warm meal, a safe place to rest, the laughter of someone you love. These aren't small details, they're life's quiet treasures. And yet, in the rush of chasing bigger goals, we often overlook them. That's why one of the most powerful lessons we can learn is to practice gratitude every single day. Gratitude isn't just about saying. It's a way of seeing the world. It shifts our focus from what's missing to what's present, from what we lack to what we already have. Think about it. 2 people can live through the exact same day, but one feels drained and unsatisfied, while the other feels content and fulfilled. The difference often comes down to perspective, and gratitude is the lens that transforms the ordinary into something extraordinary. Let me share a story that brings this idea to life. A man in his 90s once reflected on his daily routine. Every morning, before getting out of bed, he would list 3 things he was grateful for. Sometimes it was something simple, like the sunshine coming through his window, the aroma of coffee brewing, or the smile of a grandchild. Over decades, this small practice didn't just shape his mornings, it shaped his entire outlook on life. Even when he faced hardships, he leaned on gratitude to remind himself that joy could still be found in the simplest of places. Isn't it powerful to think that such a small habit can influence an entire lifetime? So, how can we bring this wisdom into our own lives? First, start small. Keep a gratitude journal and write down 3 things you're thankful for each day. They don't have to be monumental. Sometimes the smallest details make the biggest difference. Second, express it. Gratitude grows stronger when shared. Send a message to a friend, thank a colleague, or simply tell a loved one how much they mean to you. Third, practice presence. Put away distractions for a few minutes and really notice what's around you. The colors of the sky, the sound of laughter, or the comfort of being alive in this moment. Now ask yourself this: how often do you focus on what's missing instead of what's already here? And what might change if, instead of waiting for something big, to feel grateful, you allowed yourself to celebrate the little victories and blessings of today? The truth is, gratitude isn't about having a perfect life. It's about noticing the good that already exists in the one you're living. The beauty of gratitude is that it multiplies. The more you practice it, the more reasons you find to be grateful. It doesn't mean ignoring struggles. It means choosing to see beyond them. It means finding light in the cracks and strength in the challenges. And over time, this mindset doesn't just change how you feel. It changes how you live. So let's take this lesson to heart practice gratitude every single day. Because life's value isn't measured only in milestones, but in the everyday moments we choose to notice and cherish. Gratitude turns the ordinary into extraordinary. When we live with it, we discover that joy has been with us all along, quietly waiting to be seen. Number 5, don't just count the years. Make the years count. Have you ever met someone who was young in age, but seemed old in spirit, and someone else who was much older yet radiated energy, joy, and curiosity like they were just beginning their journey? That contrast teaches us something important. It's not the number of years we live that defines us, how we choose to live within those years. Don't just count the years, make the years count. Longevity is not the same as vitality. Living long is one thing, living fully is another. Some people measure their lives in birthdays, anniversaries, and milestones, but the richest lives are measured in experiences, contributions, and memories made along the way. Think about it. When you reflect on someone who has inspired you, is it the number of years they lived that comes to mind, or the impact they made with the time they had? That's the difference between merely counting years and truly making them count. Consider the story of a man who retired at 65. Instead of slowing down, he decided to pursue the dream he had put aside for decades, painting. At first, it was just a personal hobby, but within a few years, his art was displayed in local galleries, and he even taught classes for children in his community. By the time he reached 85, he wasn't remembered for his age, but for the joy, creativity, and inspiration he had given to others. His life became proof that it's never too late to fill your years with meaning. Isn't that a powerful reminder that passion and purpose have no expiration date? So how can we apply this to our own lives? First, stay curious. Curiosity keeps the mind alive and prevents us from falling into routines that dull our spirit. Learn something new, whether it's a skill, a language, or simply a new perspective. Second, invest in experiences over things. Memories of adventures, conversations, and challenges overcome are what we carry with us, not the possessions that eventually fade away. Third, find a way to give back. Contribution, whether big or small, transforms ordinary years into meaningful ones. It could be mentoring someone younger, volunteering, or simply sharing your story to inspire others. Ask yourself, if someone were to describe your life in one sentence, what would you want them to say? Would it be about the years you lived, or the difference you made? These questions push us to think beyond time itself and focus on the legacy we're creating right now. The beauty of this idea is that it empowers us at any age. You don't need to wait until retirement, nor do you need decades ahead of you. Making your years count is about choosing today, this very moment, to live with intention, to chase something meaningful, and to connect deeply with others. Every day holds the possibility of becoming a chapter worth remembering. So let's embrace this truth. Life isn't about adding more years to the calendar. It's about adding more life to the years we're given. Whether we have decades ahead or just a single day, the choice is always the same. Fill it with purpose, passion, and presence. Because in the end, what matters is not how long we live, but how deeply we live. That's what it means to make the years count. The wisdom of those who have lived for a century isn't just about survival, it's about living fully. They teach us to value relationships, to keep moving forward, to embrace change, to live with gratitude, and to make every year count. Their voices echo across generations, reminding us that while life may not always be easy, it can always be meaningful. So, as we listen to these lessons, let's not wait until the end to realize what matters most. Let's start living them today, because the best way to honor the wisdom of the past is to live more wisely in the present. Thank you